Hey YouTube, what is up? Welcome back to the Practical Life. This is Ashley Nicole. Y'all, I am here because I had to come on here because I was listening to this interview with Carlisa Saffold. This is Blueface. He's a rapper. This is his mom, and she had a interview with another with a with someone on YouTube, Tasha K, I believe it was. And y'all, I'm sitting here listening to this interview, and I'm like, it's so many things that this lady is saying that I wanted to kind of comment on, give my opinion about. So that's why I'm here a little bit later tonight. And when something like comes in my mind and it has something to do with like mental health or something like that, or it reminds me of maybe a client or something that I had, and I feel like other people can kind of relate to it, or I want to educate kind of about the situation or what's happening, then I will, just feel the need to jump on here. But I know it's late. I am not going to be on here long, y'all, because when I say I am tired, I am tired. And I have a very long day tomorrow. So I need to get some rest. But anywho, so y'all listening to this lady, the first thing came to my mind. Okay, so let me back up. This live, is based on my opinion. This is my opinion based on my knowledge, expertise, um, and personal experiences in the mental health field. And this video is for entertainment and education purposes only. So I want to make sure that we get that out of the way. But when I started listening to her, two things came to my mind, right? The first thing is that, well, a few things. And I wrote down something. I actually wrote down a lot, but and I feel like her interview was all over the place. It was kind of like she was jumping from she was kind of going off on tangents where she was kind of telling her story, telling her son's story. And if you all don't know, her son, his name is Blueface. He's a rapper. And I'm not going to pretend to know all of the situation between him and his girlfriend, but it looks like they have a tumultuous relationship. There has been some things on the internet shown between the two of them, in domestic disputes, severe domestic disputes. Allegedly, the girlfriend, her name is Krishan Rock. Um, and allegedly she fought Blueface's mom and she fought his sister. And so it looks like his mom is kind of having this interview to kind of tell her side of the story and things like that, right? And so it was very interesting, y'all. And I told you all that I have worked with families before, right, doing in home counseling, and I've seen a lot of families like this one has a lot of similarities to what she was saying and what she was, reporting and things like that. And so a few things kind of stood out to me that I kind of wanted to give my opinion on. The first thing was that it looks like, she went through her whole life story, right? It looks like she was not cared for, uh, at the very least emotionally as a child. And she kind of mentioned that her mom and dad, were not there. They may not have been present. She didn't really kind of go into detail, but suffice it to say, based on what she was saying, it appears that her parents were not there for her, maybe emotionally, right? And so she told the story of going into her closet one night and praying to God to give her children, and she prayed to have 10 children, because she wanted to, I guess, make sure whatever kids that she had, she was never going to treat them the way that her parents treated her, or put them through some of the same situations that she had been through as a child. And I think a lot of times, people say that, right? Even if it's not a severe situation, there may have been some things that your parents did as a child, when you were a child, or made decisions, where when you become an adult, you kind of think back and you're like, okay, well, when I have children, I wouldn't really make that decision, or, I'm going to be a totally different parent than my parents were, things like that. And then lo and behold, you look up and you have some of the same, or display or exhibit some of the same characteristics that your parents exhibited when you were a child. And it may not be, a lot of times it's not, your intention, of course, to do that, but it's almost like it's ingrained in you, right? This is what you learned, even though it's not the right thing, you're told it's not the right thing to do, but this is how you learn based on someone else's actions, hence your parents, of how to raise children. And so that's what you're going to do, right? And so, going back to what she prayed for 10 children. She said she wanted 10 children. That is the only thing she said that she prayed to God for. And so, lo and behold, she had her first child at 17. So she was a teen mom, and things like that. And so that was the first thing that kind of stood out to me of her, really kind of, as a child at 13 years old. I can't imagine what situation she was going through, because at 13 you're praying to have children, just so. And this is where my questions and my, you know, thoughts about, what she's saying kind of come in, because sometimes, you would imagine that if you are a child in a situation where you're not being treated properly, emotionally, maybe, sometimes a lot of kids, of course, are physically abused, things like that. You're in a less than, stellar situation at home, and you're 13. You would imagine a 13-year-old praying to, maybe get out of the home, or say, things like, or thinking things like, I can't wait till I move out of here. Just wanting to kind of get away from the situation. But to pray for children was a little odd to me. And she probably, maybe she probably did, right? I wouldn't expect that until someone becomes an adult, right? Or even if she was 17, 18-year olds, I could see that thing. But at 13 years old, if you were treated unfairly at home, I would think that the thoughts that would go through your head would be, I can't wait until I leave this house. I can't wait until I'm out of this situation. Things like that. So that was the first thing. Then, another thing that kind of stood out to me was that, she was saying that when she had her oldest, she was 17, and she was kind of jumping all over the place with her story at times. So it was kind of hard to keep up, but she was saying basically her 16-year-old, I mean, not her, yeah, he was her son, her first son, he was 16 when he went to jail, and he was sentenced to jail for 13 years, she was saying, because of a situation he was in that was not in his control. Um, and so it appears that, of course, as a mom, she was so distraught by this situation. She felt that the situation only occurred because they were poor, and she felt that if she had money, I guess that she would have been able to get him out the situation. I don't know. I really don't. I didn't understand how that would add up. But because she didn't give a lot of detail, she said a little bit, but she didn't say too much. But she just felt like, this happened to us because we were poor. Um, so, but then she said that her 16-year-old was like a dad to her other kids, which is Blueface, and she has a daughter. And he was like the dad in the home. He was like the person that took care of them. And that stood out to me because a 16-year-old should not even feel like they have that responsibility, right? It's not their responsibility to take care of their parents. It's not their responsibility to take, and this is my opinion, it's not their responsibility to take care of their siblings. um and a lot of kids are put in that situation. So when they are put in the situation where it may not even be that the parent has told them that they are the male figure in the home, like, you are the role model, you were supposed to act this way because your siblings are looking up to you. They may not have even been told that, but the actions of their parent, and in this situation, the actions of their mom told him that that was the role that he was in, right? The actions of his mom let his siblings know that my older brother is in, this is his role to take care of us. So even though you're 16 years old and you know you're a child, now that you feel that you have been put in this role of being a quote unquote parent, or to take care of your parent, right? You're going to act as such. You're going to most likely put yourself in situations where you feel like you have to defend your family. You have to defend it because you are, in this, high esteemed role, right? And so, long story short, he got into trouble and he was sentenced to 13 years, right? So that was another thing that kind of stood out to me, that her, even though, because keep in mind what she said. At 13 years old, I prayed to have children. And I guess because she wanted to, I don't know. That was my question. My question will becomes, what you're wanting to have children for, what? To prove what? That you can be a better mom than your mom, to prove that you are able to take care of something, to kind of prove to yourself that even though you were in a terrible situation as a child, and felt like you weren't dealt the best cards, that if you were given children, that you would somehow turn it around. So I was kind of trying to figure that out, but all the while, the other instances that she spoke of when it came to her and her children and the current situation with Blueface and his girlfriend, is that she is a mom that you could tell she cares about her kids. She wants the best for her kids. She wants them, and she mentioned that, not raising her kids to be mediocre. And I totally agree with that, right? Sometimes, in my opinion, people get complacent, right? And they also, excuses come into play and things like that, right? But at some point, it's always something that you can do. It's always some action that you can kind of move forward with to kind of get you to a better situation, right? And so she's like, we shouldn't be teaching our kids to be, mediocre and things like this. However, it is, in my opinion, a fine line between pushing them to be the best that they can be, and being so hard on them and putting so many expectations on them that they then resent you or rebel against you because of the pressure that you are putting on them. Because at sometimes it will turn into, and I've seen this with families, it will turn into you pushing them so hard for them to get to the outcome that you want to have for them. for them to get to the goals that you have for them, and you have in that journey forgotten about what they want, right? And so you kind of step into their lives, right? You want to make sure that every decision that they make is the right decision. Every contract that they sign, you've got to read over it. um Everything that they do has to have a checks and balances by mom first before they do it. And it doesn't stop when they become an adult. It continues on from who they're in a relationship with, to what their career is going to be, to where they're going to live, to what they name their children. And so this is where enmeshment comes in. And that's what I thought about when she was speaking, because I said, she sounds like a mom that really wants the best for her kids, but she has overstepped her boundaries, right? And it appears that, because in some ways it's kind of like she's like, oh, I don't, she didn't understand how he could get with someone like his girlfriend, and things like that. And she didn't raise him to be mediocre, all the things, right? But lo and behold, this is who he is with. And apparently, I mean, it looks like he not leaving the girl. And like I said, I don't know every detail about the things that have happened between him and the girlfriend, but the main thing is that they have gotten into very severe domestic disputes. And it's been online, and in all of that, right? So um so then so him and the girlfriend, it appears that she sometimes initiates these disputes, and she is the aggressor, right? And the mom was saying, I don't know, like her sister called her and said, oh, so you see, now you're look at yourself in the mirror. His girlfriend is you when you were younger. These are the things you used to do. You used to, hit your boyfriend. Just are a fighter. And so the mom then realized, you know what? I think my sister is right. She's like, I used to do the same things. I would hit my boyfriend. She said, just like you see her hitting, I would hit just like that. She's like, even my husband now, I hit him like that too. And I'm like, what? Like, but in some ways, the way that she's saying it is almost like, and tell me what y'all think, it's almost like she's proud. She's saying it in a proud way. um that she's like this bad person. She's like this bad mom. She's this mom with the cape on. I'll do anything for my kids. I did this for my kids. Basically, we're going to get the bag by any means necessary. Okay, but all the while you have three children. Now, I don't know anything about the daughter, but the oldest one was in jail for 13 years. And then this one, he's with someone that is very appears to be very aggressive. um and they're fighting each other online, and people can see all of this, right? But then you want people to believe that they basically kind of grew up and know nothing about that type of life, right? And but then she backtracked and said, well, maybe, well, he was too young to see when, I would fight with their dad or whatever. Sometimes parents and couples, of course, they go through things, right? They sometimes get into fights, sometimes it turns physical, and things like that. And parents think that kids don't know what is happening in the home. Parents think that kids don't see when somebody has gotten hit. Parents think that kids don't know that there is strain in the relationship, right? But the truth is, they do. They know more than you think they know. They have seen more things in your relationship that you think. That's why parents have to always be cognizant. And parents are not perfect, right? Nobody's perfect, but you always got to kind of keep in the back of your mind, okay, if I say this, they're going to hear me say it, right? And kids interpret things differently, right? um if you're having an argument and you know it's going to lead to a place of getting physical and things like that, you've got to really just in plain terms be the adult and say, okay, it's getting to this point, let's calm it down, let's dial it back, right? Because you are showing the children how to resolve conflict. And even though when they grow up, they may not be the aggressor, right? They may enter in a relationship with someone who solves conflict in that way, and they're not going to see anything wrong with it because that's how they saw the mom and dad, or mom and boyfriend, or whatever the relationship is. That's how they saw how to resolve conflict, and they think it's okay. And so he must have seen something that would stick with him for him to think that now the behavior that this young lady is displaying is okay. Like it has to be something. And I felt like the mom was kind of pretending like, oh no, there's nothing that he would have seen. Like I didn't rate, like we were trying to get to the bag. But and she kept saying that. That it was kind of like she wanted to, in my opinion, it appeared that she wanted to get across that, you know, we this was the family plan. We were going to get to the bag. We're getting to the bag by any means necessary. Like this is a plan. You do what you're supposed to do with the plan. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do, right? And it's kind of like, okay, wait, is this part of the plan where why you wanted to have the 10 kids, of proving to, I don't know, yourself, proving to your mom, proving to who that you were able to kind of make it with your kids? It almost like, okay, I'm gonna have 10 kids and look what I turned this into. Almost like really revenge to her mom. Like, you weren't able to do this with me, but look what I was able to do. Because she resents her mom for not being there as a parent. So this was very interesting, y'all. She said, let's see. Now, she also then said that she because she kept saying stuff like, oh, I don't know where he would get this from, and no, they never saw any of that. Like, we were getting to the bag, like they were in commercials, and this when he was 5 years old, he had a contract for a commercial, or something like that. But then she said, oh, but wait a minute, I mean, I did spend 14 days in jail. Like, it's kind of like she just completely overlooked the things that really could have affected them negatively, and almost like, okay, yeah, that little 14 days happened, but y'all need to focus on what I did do. I was there for your football games. I was there when no one else was there. When you needed this and this for school, who got it? Your mom got it. Whenever you needed to buy something or whatever contrary, I was the one who was doing that. So you basically need to forget about those 14 days. That's almost like, in my opinion, how she came across. But you going to, again, remember human nature, you're going to focus on the negative. So kids are going to remember the times that you weren't there even more than the times that you were, because those are the times that really affected them, right? So of course he remembers you going to jail for 14 days. He wondering where his mama is. She appears to me to be the kind of mom that'll go to jail for 14 days and then come home and act like nothing happened. And now it's time for us to get back to the bag. Like, I'm like, this is ridiculous. You mean to tell me you don't know how your son got to this point? to be in this type of relationship? You mean to tell me you don't know how your 16-year-old, that 16-year-old at the time, her oldest son, got to the point where he was locked up for 13 years? She said, "Oh, it was because we were poor. It's because we were black. It was because we were he was he was with somebody who had a weapon, and that person fired the weapon who unalived the other person." Okay, well, what? See, this is what I talk about when I'm talking about moms, the black moms and their sons. That's fine, but your son have to take some kind of accountability for even being in that situation. Because what led him to be with that type of crowd anyway? You see what I'm saying? If you 16 years old, what are you doing hanging around? And now I don't know how old her son, the oldest son, is now, but and now it might be a little bit different because there's a whole lot of stuff going on. And again, this is just my opinion. I don't know where they grew up. I think they're from California. I don't know if they grew up in a, sketchy neighborhood, whatever, where all the, most kids carry something on them just in case. I don't know. But if you raise your kids the way that you want people to think you did, what is your son doing hanging around another kid that's carrying something all the time? And mind you, that he unalived the person. So she's saying, "Oh, he was just caught up because he was with him, and that's how he got 13 years." But they wanted, she allegedly, she said that they wanted to give him 100 years or something like that. Well, come on now. So then tell me what accountability did your son take for that situation? You see what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't add up. But going back to what I said about enmeshment, right? It seems like I don't know if it's with all the kids, but and it appears, but with Jonathan, right? Like I said, she was saying, this is the plan. And we have basically to get to where we need to be to get the bag, right? Because she felt like, because she didn't have any money, that's why her son was locked up all those years. So it's kind of like this. She was like, this will never happen to us again. So I'm gonna make sure we like do what we need to do to get money, so that way we will never be in that situation again. If you've done something, if you've broken the law, money not finna save you. Like, I didn't get that. Money is not going to save you. Like, it seemed like this the mind frame that she has. That's what it seems like to me. Like, if I have money, nobody can stop me from doing anything. Like, if my kids get into some type of trouble or riffraff or whatever, they're gonna be fine because I could just pay the people and it's gonna be good. That's not how the world works. Like, I don't get it. But it seems like she's enmeshed because she has overstepped her boundaries, at least maybe with Jonathan. And what is an enmeshed relationship? So in psychology, enmeshment is just like an entanglement, really, right? Where someone is kind of like, you are overly involved, in this particular case with her kids. She wants to um meet all of their needs. So she gets so involved in their relationships, their situations. She wants to let them know, no, this is a career you need to get into. Calling them all the time, getting involved in who they're in their relationship, and kind of just again overstepping the boundaries when it comes to that. Um and so I feel like maybe her, at least with Jonathan, because we only know like his situation, right, with the girlfriend, because the mom is so involved in what he's always doing, is he kind of like rebelling against his mom? He's rebelling against her. She mentioned that when she came home after those 14 days from being in jail, And y'all, I can't. Listen to why she was in jail. And this is where, and see, if it sounds like I'm all over the place, it's because she was all over the place. This is how she told her story. So she was in jail for 14 days because she said, "Oh, I was in a me and my friend, we were trying something." Now, she didn't want to say that she was in a same-sex relationship. She just said that there wasn't a relationship, they were just trying something. And so when they were trying something, she ended up meeting some guy that had a little dough, and she felt like he was going to be able to help her save her oldest son from going to jail, because remember, she needed more money to keep him from getting out of jail, right? So she basically, now she said they weren't in a relationship, but she broke it off with the lady. And the lady, I guess, got mad, allegedly, from what she was saying, and went back and told her children that she was gay. So she got mad at the lady, and she fought the lady. And so she ended up going to jail for 14 days because of that. Girl, what? What? And like I said, she appears to me to be the type of mom that would leave for 14 days and come back home, and the kids wouldn't have known where she was or anything like that. It's almost like nothing happened. Let's get back to the plan. Let's get back to the plan. That was very odd to, to me. I was like, wait, you fought the lady because she told your kids what? Now it's connecting. The puzzles are fitting from where her sister told her, you trying to figure out how he with Krishan. Girl, Krishan is you. Cause you will fight somebody in a minute, baby, off something real small. So come on now. Come on. So I said, "Ma'am, no, mm-mm." And then and she said, "Now, I mean, I ain't gonna, I wasn't in love with the man or whatever, because he had the money to help her get her son out of jail." She said she wasn't in love with him, but she said, "Yeah, I did. I grew to love him, lady." But the way, y'all gotta watch it. The way that she was saying it was almost like she was proud of how she did these things, and I'm like, that ain't cute. Like, it's not, and she's an older lady now, but it's kind of like people, and I'm speaking in general now, people be wondering why or how their kids turn out the way that they do, or not even turn out, but just the decisions that their kids make. They're always trying to figure out, well, I don't know why they did this and that. All you got to do is take a look at yourself. That's all you got to do. For the most part, all you got to do is take a look at yourself. And again, sometimes, you can raise your kids a certain way and they may turn out, really totally different. There are anomalies, you know what I'm saying? Stories like that. But for the most part, when it comes down to those core things, as far as how they make decisions, how they resolve conflict, their morals, their values, they learn that from you. They learned it from you or whoever raised them, right? Um, then she glossed over. She said this in passing. Oh yeah, and their grandma. I mean, I raised my kids. I took care of my kids. I mean, their grandma probably had them for like a year or something like that. Girl, what? Now you didn't say the grandma used to keep them on the weekends. The grandma might have had them during the summer. Sometimes that does occur. They go to the grandparents' house. But for a whole year, that tells me that you didn't have yourself together for whatever year that was. And your kids ain't forgot it. Your kids ain't forgot that you didn't have yourself together, and that you didn't have they wasn't with you during that year, honey. They ain't forgot that. Believe it. Believe me, that they have not forgotten those times that you were not there. And some of those times, that whole year that you weren't there, you don't know what your kids went through. You don't know what you was thinking. They were thinking. Then she said when she came back from the 14 days, uh, Blueface, and his name is Jonathan, guys. His name is Jonathan. He was sitting in front of the TV with the static was on the TV. Well, I forget what they used to call that. Back in the day it used to be real late at night when the show would go off and it would make that little noise, that beeping noise, but then the static would come on. But she said he was sitting in the living room and he was staring at the static on the TV. She called it the snow, but she said he was staring at it on the TV, and she had came home from the jail, and she said when she saw him doing it, just sitting there staring at it, she said, "Oh, never again. Like, am I gonna go to jail or whatever?" And she just kind of glossed over it. I'm like, okay, did you talk to him? Did you ask him, is he all right? She was like, I didn't even know if he had ate that day. Or I'm like, what? Um, and so then she went into saying that he was the kid that used to run away. Basically, in a nutshell, he was the child that used to run away. She said that he used to get in strangers' cars. Um, she said that yeah, he would run away. They would be outside playing and she would look up and he wouldn't be around, and she would be asking the kids, well, why did y'all just let him leave? No, where was his dang old mama at? Why was his mom not watching him? How you leaving it up to the kids outside to make sure that he stay in the on the street or whatever? And I'm like, he used to get in strangers' cars. What? It tells me that your son was in turmoil when he was a young child and nobody did anything about it. And it appears that based on the decisions that he's making as far as his relationships, that he's still in turmoil. The decisions that he's making, he's still, or either as his mom, you have been but it's contradictory because it appears that you are so involved based on what you're saying, but then on the flip side, you wasn't that involved because your son getting in strangers' cars. Your son was getting in strangers' cars. It doesn't make any sense to me, right? So then the question becomes, okay, well, where is the truth? You know what I'm saying? Like, where is the truth? Um, but it only appears to me that maybe with running away, getting in strangers' cars, staring at the TV, and she said that he was 7 or 8 years old. Your son was in some type of turmoil, right? And she didn't mention anything about the dads being there. Oh, she said something like they would, get them on the weekends, but basically it was like a babysitter. She was she characterized herself as a single mom of three. Um, and so it appears that maybe your son needed somebody to talk to. And so instead of you really doing that, you made all the decisions for him, in one way of being his mom, feeling like you knew what was best for him, right? As a child, right? But then as he got older, he did not learn how to make decisions for himself. And so now he might be stuck. He don't know which way to go because he ain't never made no decisions. He never had the choice to do nothing. And sometimes I feel like throughout life, and some people may not agree with this, like even young kids, because you got to remember we're in a different time now when it comes to kids. A lot of the old school thinking is that you're telling the kids what they need to do, when they should do it, and they shouldn't ask any questions, right? New age is that, okay, you're going to basically negotiate with your child, right? And if you are able to have a perfect balance with that, because you got to know when to basically put your foot down and say, no, this is what I said, this is what it is, right? Right? But then on the flip side, you want to be able for your kids to be able to have that back and forth with you sometimes, have that negotiation with you sometimes, right? Have that chance to be able to make a choice. And it could be simple things, but it teaches them along the way to be able to do that. Otherwise, they're not going to know how to do it. And this world is crazy. This world will eat them up if they don't know how to speak for themselves, if they don't know how to make a decision. Sometimes when my daughter, and I told you I got little kids, and my daughter, she might say she won't, for example, she might say, oh, I want Chick-fil-A, or she want McDonald's, just for example, right? And I say, okay, which one you want? And if it take her longer, like if I see she just really trying, because that's not a big decision, right? Okay, I said, give yourself 3 seconds. One, two, three. What do you want? Stop taking all day to make a decision. By that time, somebody be to snatch you up and put them, you know what I'm saying? In my mind, this one I'm thinking, by the time you trying to figure out if you want Chick-fil-A, or, and it might sound simple, y'all, but I'm for real, like, by the time you figure that out, girl, somebody be that made the decision for you. You see what I'm saying? And you want to know how to make decisions for yourself. Don't ever put yourself in a position where somebody else thinking for you. So as a young child, give them some opportunities to be able to say, no, I want this. Okay, I'm gonna give y'all another example. So girl, because and it's hard, y'all. It's difficult to have that balance between that old school and new school, right? Because a lot of times, and you know, parents make mistakes. So a lot of times you might say, oh shoot, I should have went new school on that one, or shoot, I should I should have put my foot down on that one, you know what I'm saying? But at least you cognizant of it, you know, so you know, okay, this is what I'm gonna do the next time. Because baby, it's gonna be a next time with all of them. Okay, so my daughter had this little I think it was a highlight magazine. And in the magazine, it asked them questions because remember I told y'all, even though these parents might not be talking about this stuff at home, they touching on it at school in some kind of way. So she had a little book, right? And so the book said, for example, Christy has on a pink jacket, right? And so then Bobby came up to her and said, uh, you should wear this purple jacket, right? And so it asks your child the question, what should you do? So I asked my baby the question. I said, okay, what you gonna do? You like the pink one, right? And you be surprised because see, this is how you know, this is how you know if you're on the right track. I asked my baby, I said, okay, you got on the pink jacket because it said something like Christy likes pink and she likes her pink jacket, but then Bobby came and said you should wear the you should wear the purple jacket, right? So I asked my baby, I said, what you gonna do? Girl, I like to fall on the floor. My baby said, okay, I wear the purple jacket. Girl, it took everything out of me. Took everything out of me not to say, you better not put that damn purple jacket on. You said that you like the pink one, right? So I had to break it down. I told you know, and I try not to get hyped when I hear this kind of stuff. I say, oh no, you got to backtrack because I can't have my baby out here having people making decisions for her, right? So I said, okay, this is one of her lessons. When you like something or when you are passionate about something, you don't let nobody else change your mind. That's fine that they like the purple one. They think the purple one pretty, but you like pink, right? So she said, okay, mom, okay, mom. So I said, oh Lord, I hope she got it right. Because these situations happen, y'all. Okay, so give it about a week later. Girl, we in the car. And I think I driving. My husband was driving one of them. So she had some sunglasses in the car, right? And the sunglasses she carried a little sunglasses in the car. She had about two pair in the car. So she might have had a green pair and a pink pair, right? So the pink pair she put on the little the lens came out of it. And she said, "Oh no, mom, the lens came out." So I said, "Well, oh, I think I was driving because I said, well, I'm driving. I can't do it right now, right?" So I said, "Okay, but you got another pair. You got your green pair, right?" Girl, I handed my baby that green pair. I said, "You could just wear these." She said, "Nah, mom." Oh, because then I had when I stopped, I popped the little lens back in her little pink ones. So I said, "Here, but you already," I gave her the green ones already. I said, "But you already had a green one, so go ahead and wear them." She said, "No, mom." She said, "I like green, but I really like the pink glitter ones too. And so I want those. I rather have those." I said, "There you go. That's the lesson that you learned." Even though I said, "No, go ahead and wear your green ones." You said, "No, mom, but I like the pink ones. Out those are the ones that I want." Even though you said go ahead and wear the green ones because the green was cute too. No, but I really like pink and I like glitter. There you go. But see, and it, like I say, it seems simple, but as they get older, you give them more and more chances to be able to make decisions on their own and learn to think for themselves. And then you can kind of assess whether they got it or they don't got. You see what I'm saying? So that was just my little tip, y'all. But it seems like she is so overly involved with him that maybe he don't know what to do. He don't know. All he know is his mom saying we got to get to the bag, and they got to basically fall in line. But it's kind of like, do you really want your children to succeed for them, or do you want your children to succeed for you? Because it appears on while she was sitting there, baby, she was pointing out that her son bought her that tennis bracelet and necklace, and that she had on some Louis Vuitton leggings and all of that. So do you want your children to succeed for them, or do you want them to succeed for you, because you never had that opportunity because of your parents? These are just the questions that I'm asking. Um, Let me see, what else did she say on here? She said, oh yeah, because she also mentioned that she compared herself to Joe Jackson. Now, let's take a step back because we only know how Joe Jackson was based on the Jacksons movie, right? And probably a little bit of what Michael and Janet and all of them said about their dad. But we didn't live in Joe Jackson's house, so we don't really know how Joe Jackson was. Okay. We are only speculating about what we have seen on the movie, right? And so I'm only assuming that that's what she's meaning. What mama compares themselves to, first of all, a man, right? And in some ways, okay, because you were a single mom, you had to be mom and dad. I get it. I get it. But that's nothing to be proud of if you're speaking of comparing yourself to Joe Jackson and how he was in that movie, because he abused those children. And he wanted the bag by any means necessary because they were poor. And he saw, that his kids had some talent, but baby, everything they did was based on what Joe was wanting to do, not what them kids wanted to do. So she compared herself to Joe Jackson, but to me, that's nothing to be proud of, you know. And those when you look at Joe Jackson's kids, those kids are in turmoil. Partly, probably, it appears based on how their daddy raised them. So I wouldn't be going around comparing myself to Joe. Um, let's see. And then this is the last thing, y'all. This lady said, and and I'm not, it's no judgment to her, because she said she took accountability. She said, I did the best that I could, right? Because remember, her parents, she had already told us that her parents, she was not in a good situation, right? And so she did the best that she could. and she did what she thought she should do. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes it's kind of like as you go through life, like when you know better, you gotta do better. When you see that what you've been doing is not benefiting your kids or yourself, you gotta pivot, because it's going to affect the relationships as they get older. And I'm not saying relationships with girlfriends, wives, husbands, or whatever. It's going to also affect the relationship they have with you, right? Which will in turn affect the relationship that their kids are going to have with you, right? But she said that when Blueface was, I did she say 16? In between the ages of 13 and 16, I can't really remember, child. But she said that she let his girlfriend that he had at the time stay with them. And so I said, let me put my ear to this dang on computer, baby, and listen a little bit closer. Because you let her do what? At age what? She said that her mom, the little girl mom, let her stay with her. Okay, that could be, but you also let her stay with you. And for what? For what? She said she told the little girl to go and go get her permission slip from the mom so that she could stay over there. And I think this the lady, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the little girl that he had a baby with the girl, the I forget the name. I feel like it's Jaden, but I don't know. But I think they had a baby together. And she said she thought she was on birth control, but I didn't know if she was or not, or when they was doing what or not, because I was in school just like him. Girl. So if you know that you were already not available for your kids like that because you were trying being a single mom and trying to do what you had to do, why in the world would you let somebody else's child stay at your house? I don't get it for the life of me. I don't get that. I really don't. And sometimes, again, parents make mistakes, but it's some things you just freaking know better. You know better. And you already know how it's finna turn out. You already know them kids are gonna be up to no good. You not even at home. You not at home, and teenagers gonna do what teenagers do. You see what I'm saying? So why did you think? And then you told her to go get permission slip from her mom. Maybe I'm different. Maybe I'm different. I wouldn't have let that go down. You I wouldn't even probably talk to the girl mama like she cannot stay at my home. She is not my child. I don't care what kind of relationship they got. And they can do whatever they're gonna do, but it won't be in this house. They gonna see each other at school because you ain't gonna be able to stop it. If they gonna do what they're gonna do, you're not gonna be able to stop it. But it won't be on my watch. Girl, it ain't no way I would have let that little girl stay in my house talking about go get a permission slip. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. And Blueface is how old? So this couldn't have been. Let me see. How old is Blueface? Let me see. Cause girl, I know they ain't gone well. And shoot, even when I was young, when you a teenager, you be thinking about doing stuff. Okay, this you be thinking about scheming. Okay, I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna go to my cousin's house and we're gonna do this, and this, and we're gonna go here, and here. Baby, my mama was on it. Nope. Wait a minute. Blueface. Hey, hold on. Let's see. This man's 25 years old. So come on now. Come on now. Mamas be on it. Mamas be on, like, when your child is up to no good. Like, because you know the stuff you did. You know the stuff you did. But also, again, she was trying to give her kids a life that she didn't have. But that don't mean let them go buck wild. You've got to have, again, some boundaries. And it is difficult. It's a hard, it's difficult to balance that, trying to give them what you didn't have, trying to raise them the way, in a better way than you were raised. But it's kind of like you don't even know what that is, because you didn't even have it. So how do you even know how to raise them in a better way? Because from what you're saying, you didn't have a good situation. So it's only more likely that you're going to raise them in a similar fashion. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, so I had to come on here and talk about that, because I was like, the lady saying one thing, then she's saying something else, but it's very interesting to hear. And y'all know I like to kind of react to these stories, and sometimes things that are trending, because we can learn from them, right? We can learn from them, and it's really just interesting to hear the perspectives, the viewpoints. And it's also interesting to see when someone kind of gets to a point where they realize what went wrong, or they realize at what point they could have went a different way, or could have done things differently, you know what I'm saying? And then also because um they're just them kind of expressing what they went through, because a lot of this stuff, people hold this stuff in, and it's not good, right? You don't want to suppress your feelings, you want to get it out. So I had to come on here, um and just kind of give my opinion about that. Very interesting family, interesting story. Thank you all for listening. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Share the video. Thank you all to all the people who have subscribed thus far. I really appreciate you. Join me on my journey to 1,000 subscribers if you have not subscribed thus far. Again, thank you for listening. I appreciate y'all. I'm getting ready to get out here and get some rest, honey, and I will see you all. And will I see y'all tomorrow? Will I be on here tomorrow? I think so. I think so. I feel like I have something. Um, I feel like I have something scheduled. So yeah, I think so. Tomorrow. So thank you all for listening. I really appreciate you. Have a good night. Make sure that you take care of yourself, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.